location is Police Headquarters Facility. This interview is being conducted by Sergeant G. Mayorga, serial number 41825 of Central Division. This interview is being digitally recorded, and there's nobody else present here at this time. We're at the front of the headquarters, and so we'll go ahead and lead into this, sir.
Okay.
Just explain to us in short, as briefly as possible, what allegations you have against the officers that stopped you on May 16th, 2015.
I was parking my truck, and there was no stop. He just got out the car and came over and asked me for my license and registration, which I know is illegal.
Were you stopped? I mean, were you not moving? Were you parked on the sidewalk?
I was at an angle parking.
At an angle parking, okay.
Yes, I was at an angle parking.
Were you properly parked, or were you on the lines, or were you taking up two spots? Or?
No, I was literally in the process of parking.
Okay. So you were still parking at the time?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And Officer Capoletti, and I don't know the lady's name, came around the corner, and it was a motorcycle that was behind me, and he said, "Whoa, whoa," and I said, "Thank you very much." And that's when he got out the car and said, "Let me see your."
Okay, just to clarify, the motorcycle, were they police officers too? Or
no, it was a private. It was a scooter parked.
Okay.
Like at an angle, like you know how.
So you came to close contact? Is that what he told? Is that why he said, "Whoa, whoa"?
I didn't come in close contact. He was. I thought he was just going to help me park, but it turned into a whole other situation.
All right. Okay. So at this point, you said the officers approached you.
Officer Capoletti, yes.
Okay. And he approached you for what? He asked you for your driver's license.
He said there was no plates on the car.
Okay.
And I informed him that I had temporary plates in the window. Then I handed in the back window. Then I handed him the temporary plate out the front window. So it says you only have to have it in the front or in the back, but I made sure that I had it in the front and in the back, because I want them to see it coming and going.
Okay. And that's the document that you brought here with us?
Yes, sir.
The number 6, so that states?
Yes, sir.
Let's pause for a second to get this noise out of the way. So, and that permit authorizes you to circulate the streets until June, I think is the expiration date on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, when you showed him your, did he take a look at that permit that was on the window?
He looked at it, but I don't think he paid attention to it, because he told Officer Joseph that I was blocking the VIN number, but I gave him the permit and the receipt with the VIN number on it.
And you were dealing with 2 officers at the time? Or how many?
At the time, before Officer Joseph came, the sergeant.
Officer Joseph was the supervisor?
Yes, the supervisor on the scene.
Okay. So when you provided that, he said he didn't bother to look at the permit on your windshield, on your window, right?
Yes.
So what took place after that? When you told him, "Hey, there's my permit," what was the next thing that took place?
He asked me for a driver's license and registration and proof of insurance, but like I explained to him, that I gave him the paperwork from the DMV, which showed that I had jurisdiction. I'm going through a process with the BOE, the Board of Equalization, and with the DMV for tax clearances, meaning I don't have to be part of the paying for tags and the getting arrested and paying all these excess taxes.
So it's like a tax exemption for
Native Americans.
A Native American tribe, okay.
Especially the one whose family opened up the West for the United States to do business.
Now, so you try to explain to him the fact that their status with the DMV,
Yes.
and what
And I
happened
presented them with all the paperwork.
there? Did you provide them with a photo ID of yourself?
I'm not required to provide with a photo ID. By law, I'm not required to.
Well, if you're in the state of California, well, I understand that. See, this is where I think we're going to have some confusion, because even though all that be as it may, right now you're in the state of California, and to drive in the state of California, you are required to have a California driver's license, right?
Well, there's a difference. You are in the state of California. I am in the Indian Territory.
Well,
That's what I'm saying. See, they didn't know that's how it goes.
right. Well, the thing is, this is the state of California. I mean, in your mind, it may be that this whole nation at once was part of, a tribal area, but now there's an actual jurisdiction of the state of California.
It's it's the Indian country jurisdiction.
I know there's a number of various, still existing tribes that comprise within this state of California, but when you're outside of those territories,
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's for the paperwork to
Right.
decide, and the paperwork that I have, give it to him.
right,
Says this is Indian Territory. This building that we're at right now, the headquarters,
yeah,
this is Indian Territory. For you, it's called a partition.
right. Well, you're gonna
So-
we're gonna encounter a lot of problems with that, because obviously what the establishment is that this is now a different country. It's not. This is part of the United States of America. It's not part of the tribal land.
Well, if you do the research, it's forever tribal land. Like I gave you the documents, it said forever.
But if that was the case, then I would have
Well, no, this is the leased district.
Okay.
So
Alright.
at least you can lease out. Remember, you have a mortgage. That's a dead man's title. That's not. I have a BLM, Bureau of Land Management, true title,
Right.
which says I have I can enjoy all the impertinences of the land
Okay.
of whatsoever nature.
Now, in day-to-day contact and being and living in this area and living in the city of Los Angeles, in the state of California, everybody is required to have a driver's license, right? You're saying
No.
you're exempt from that.
Yes.
Okay.
I had the proper paperwork. It had my fingerprint on it.
Well, yeah, but see, the thing is, I can't look at that fingerprint, and no officer on the street's going to look at that fingerprint and be able to say, oh, yeah, this is
But
positive.
you have to take my word on it. I don't.
No, see, that's where you're going to have a disagreement, because in the field, officers can't rely on word. We have to rely on evidence. And that evidence there, we couldn't scan that fingerprint for you to determine that was your identity.
That's not my problem.
Well, it actually did become your problem.
Yeah, it
because-
became my
right,
problem,
right.
but it could become a bigger problem for them.
Well, and it
They
can,
dealt in human
technically,
trafficking.
but we still have to sort that out.
Okay.
Okay. Now, in this particular case, what do you think was the cause that made them stop you?
Well, he said that I didn't have a license plate on the vehicle, but once I showed him that I did have a temporary plate on the vehicle, it should have been left alone.
What time of day was this? I saw the
3:15, maybe
15?
something like that.
So it was bright. There was
Yes.
sunlight out.
Yes.
Wasn't cloudy. Wasn't raining.
Not at all.
Okay. What about where the sticker was placed, or where the temporary permit was placed? Was it visible? Was there tint on the glass?
It's a tint, but you can see through the legal standard tint. You can see through the tint.
Well, there's no legal standard tint. You can tint
Well,
everything.
the tint that came with the vehicle.
Okay. So it's just in the back.
Yes.
Yeah, in the back you're fine. It's the sides that are going to be a problem.
But I handed him
Yeah.
the copy that I pulled out the window from the front.
Okay. Right, which is not the official document, but if you had the official one on the window, that should have sufficed, right?
Yes.
Okay. So at this point, you're cooperating with the officers. You're telling them, well, let me ask you that. Were you cooperating with the officers?
I was very cooperative.
Okay. Now, the parking permit on the back, again, the tint on that, would a normal person be able to see that permit from a distance?
Yes, sir. From his distance, yes, he
Before
would.
he stopped you?
Yes, he was. Yes, you can. I've looked at it. You can see it from, let's say, here from the wall 20 feet, you can see it. It's the red with the 6.
Well, you know, and the other thing too, I gotta touch upon, at least mention, is the fact that those permits, there's a high incidence of falsification of those permits. So a lot of times you don't really verify, you can't really verify for a fact that that's the actual DMV authorized permit unless you stop the person and check and get up really close to it.
And I gave him the documents
Right.
that the DMV
Well,
stamped.
that's fine, but that's after the stop, right? Okay, so
Well, after
technically
he got out the car, because it technically wasn't a
he
stop.
was in a car.
I mean, his truck.
Well, he
his-
stopped to investigate because his probable cause, it sounds like, was because you didn't have he couldn't see a license plate on your vehicle. So he stops to investigate, and then you tell him, hey, there's a permit on my window, here it is. And at that point, what happened?
He asked me for my name, and I gave him the paper, and then he went and ran the paper, my name, and he said it had a failure to appear.
Okay. So he arrested you on the warrant.
Yes, but at that time, I showed him this paper right here, the jurisdictional paper,
Right.
which DMV grant accepted.
Understood. But you still had a warrant.
But once DMV accepted, he was doing this through DMV. Once the DMV accepted my standing, the warrant could have been taken care of me at any time of my disposal. I'm still taking care of.
Okay, but that's the DMV. They
Yes.
handle registration. They handle vehicles.
Mhm.
The warrant was for failure